I used to love someone so deeply that I would have done anything to protect them from pain, even if it meant swallowing my own. That was me, Alex. For almost 2 years, my wife Rachel and I had been trying to have a baby. You know the kind of try I'm talking about. Charts, apps, ovulation tests, and that suffocating silence after each negative result. Every month, like clockwork, we'd sit together on the edge of the tub, holding each other while she cried just enough to break my heart. "Maybe it's just not meant to be," she once whispered through her tears. "Maybe it's fate telling us we're not ready." I'd hold her tighter and nod, too afraid to speak the doubts that already gnawed at me. Was it me? Was something wrong with me? I never said it out loud. But after the 8th fail month, I booked a private appointment at a fertility clinic without telling her. I didn't want her to feel responsible, to think it was her fault. I wanted to know the truth, quietly, so I could deal with it alone. When I sat down with the doctor, his politeness set off alarms. "Mr. Hammond," he said, "you have a rare condition called azoospermia. Simply put, there's 0 sperm count. Not low, none." I froze. What can we do? I asked like a fool. IVF? Hormones? He sighed, then said softly, "There's nothing we can do. You've been sterile since birth." I left that clinic like a ghost, driving around the block for times before I could pull into our driveway. Inside, Rachel was sitting cross-legged on the couch, scrolling through baby names on her iPad. "Hey, babe," she said, cheerful as always. "Do you still like the name Elliot? It was on our old list." I just nodded. I didn't say a word because how the hell do you tell your wife that you've been firing blanks your whole life? I went upstairs, locked myself in the bathroom, and stared at my reflection for what felt like hours. A part of me died that night, but the worst was still ahead. I kept my secret, telling myself I just needed time. Time to process. Time to figure out how to tell Rachel. The longer I waited, the more something started to feel off. It began with small things. Her moods were lighter. Her stress vanished. The woman who used to cry after every negative test was now smiling at a late period. Then I saw a phone notification, Dr. Miller ultrasound. My heart stopped. I didn't touch the phone, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the message. When she came back in, I asked casually, "Hey, babe, who's Dr. Miller?" She answered too quickly. "Oh, it's just a routine thing. I've had some cramps. Thought I'd get checked. Nothing serious." Her smile never wavered, and something twisted inside me. That night, she came to bed humming, wrapping her arms around me. "You know, I've been thinking, maybe we should start looking at baby cribs again." I froze. "Cribs?" I managed to ask. "Yeah," she said, kissing my shoulder. "I don't want to give up. I think this time it's going to work." I couldn't breathe. How could she say that? She wasn't pregnant with my child. I barely slept that night or the next. I started noticing other things. Her phone suddenly had a password. She took calls in the hallway, and there were charges on our joint card from a clinic I didn't know. One morning, just as I was about to leave for work, she stood by the door, grinning like she had won the lottery. "Hey," she said shyly, "I've got a surprise for you later tonight." I raised an eyebrow. "What kind of surprise?" "The best kind," she said, touching her stomach. "We're pregnant." My ears rang. She was so sure, so happy, but I knew that child couldn't possibly be mine. I smiled somehow. I don't even remember deciding to, but I managed to say, "That's amazing." Inside, everything was unraveling. I excused myself to the bathroom, then threw up everything I'd eaten that week. "You okay, babe?" She knocked softly on the door. "Yeah, just overwhelmed," I replied, my voice breaking. "Happy tears, you know." She laughed and walked away. I sat on the bathroom floor staring at the toilet, making a silent promise to myself. You will not scream. You will not break things. You'll find the truth, and then you'll end it. That night, when she fell asleep next to me, I grabbed the tablet from her nightstand. She'd recently synced it with her phone, and I knew she hadn't figured out the backup settings. I did. It took 2 minutes to find the app, another 30 seconds to figure out her password, our wedding date. And there it was, a message thread with man saved under a fake name. A man I didn't recognize. The messages weren't subtle. Rachel, he doesn't suspect a thing. He actually looked relieved when I told him, like this was some miracle. Him, hey, I told you it would work. He's probably just grateful he's not the problem. The next message was a picture of her in a silk robe I bought for her, holding a positive pregnancy test with a smile on her face. The caption, our future. My fingers shook as I took screenshot of everything. The messages, the timestamps, the heart emoji she left after the words, he thinks it's his? I backed everything up to a USB drive, labeled it truth, and then stared at the ceiling in the dark while my wife, the woman carrying another man's child, slept inches away from me. There's a strange kind of power in silence when you know the truth and they don't. You suddenly hold all the cards. Every smile becomes a mask. Every I love you becomes a test. Every second is a trap. I stopped asking questions, stopped reacting. Instead, I started collecting. First, a digital trail. I exported every message, backed it up on 2 flash drives and a private cloud folder. The financials followed. I checked our joint accounts. Rachel had paid $600 to a private clinic, another $200 at a baby boutique, and 2 Uber rides, one to a hotel and one from it. The dates matched up. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. I reached out to a contact, someone who had experience in private investigations, cheating wives, and secret kids. He said, that's 60% of my business. He told me exactly what to do. That weekend, I took Rachel out to dinner, telling her I want to support her more, to be there for everything. She beamed. Finally, she said, that's all I ever wanted, babe. On the way home, I suggested we stop by a clinic for a couple's wellness panel. I told her my job offered discounts for doing it together. She didn't mind. Sure, as long as it doesn't hurt the baby, she said. She gave blood. I gave blood. She kissed me in the parking lot. This is going to be the start of something beautiful, she said. 2 weeks later, the results came in a sealed envelope addressed to an alias I'd given the lab. I sat at my desk, closed the door of my office, and opened it. The probability of paternity, 0. No doubts, no room for error. No chance of a miracle, just cold, harsh science. I hired a lawyer the next day, a sharp one, the kind who smells blood before it even hits the water. We made a plan, divorce papers, a paternity fraud lawsuit, and the division of assets. I drafted a statement for her parents and made copies of everything. Files, evidence, messages, screenshots, receipts, printed and bound, tucked inside a thick red envelope labeled Simply Truth. I locked it in my desk at work and added a sticky note. Open as she tries to flip the script. Then I waited for the perfect moment, for the performance of a lifetime. I chose Sunday dinner, our tradition, the perfect stage. Rachel was glowing that day, that pregnancy glow people talk about. But to me it looked like arrogance. She wore the pale pink dress I liked. Her hair curled perfectly, always reaching for her belly like she was auditioning for an audience. I can already feel little kicks, she said, smiling at her mom. He's going to be a soccer star, or maybe a dancer. Who knows? Her father chuckled. As long as he's got Alex's brains, we're in good shape. Oh, if only he knew. We ate lamb roast, mashed potatoes, Rachel's lemon tart. Everything was perfect, fake, perfect. I waited until dessert plates were almost empty, wine glasses half full, laughter dying down. Then I stood up, raised my glass, and tapped it with my fork. If I could have everyone's attention for just a minute, I said, my voice steady, calm, calculated, to miracles, to family, to truth. Rachel looked up, smiling, but her expression shifted slightly, confused. Her mom paused mid-sip, and her dad leaned back, expectant. I continued, raising my glass. When Rachel told me we were expecting, I was speechless. I thought it was fate, a blessing, even though medically I knew I couldn't be a father. Silence. The room shifted, and Rachel's smile faltered. But love makes you believe in impossible things, right? Like immaculate conception. Her mother blinked. Alex, what are you? No, I cut in, holding up a hand. Let me finish. The story gets better. I reached under the table and pulled out the thick envelope. Rachel's eyes locked on it, and I watched her shoulders tense. This, I said, placing it on the table in front of everyone, contains lab results, financial records, personal messages, screenshots, receipts, all of it. Rachel's father furrowed his brow. What the hell is going on? Rachel's voice cracked. Alex, don't. It's not mine, Rachel. I said calmly, still smiling. The baby? He's not mine. You knew that. You planned it. You lied about every single part of this. While I cried in silence, thinking I failed you, you were out playing house with someone else. Her mother gasped. Her sister dropped her fork. No. Rachel started to reach for the envelope, but I slid it just out of her reach. This stays with me, I said coldly, but I wanted you to see it. To know what's coming isn't impulsive. It's deliberate, just like your affair. Her father demanded, Who is he, Rachel? Is this true? She broke, sobbing, hands to her face. She whispered, I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just, we were trying for so long. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to tell you. You didn't tell me. I said, standing tall. You used me. You let me name a child that wasn't mine. You let me hope. And that's unforgivable. The room fell silent. Even the walls seemed ashamed. I looked around at the people who had once called me the perfect husband and delivered my final line. This dinner was lovely, I said. It'll make a great memory. Our last one together. Then I walked out, not even bothering to close the door behind me. That night, I didn't go home. Not really. I went to the guest room at my friend Matt's place. He didn't ask questions, just opened the door, handed me a beer, and turned on the game. That's how guys like us show up for each other. I didn't say much that night. Didn't need to. I had already said everything. Rachel tried calling, then texting, then leaving voicemail after voicemail. Please, Alex. I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared. I never stopped loving you. I just want a child so badly. We can fix this. I'll do anything. I didn't respond. Not once. My lawyer did the talking. The divorce went smoothly, surgical even. When you hand a judge a full binder of infidelity, financial fraud, and paternity deception, they don't waste time. Rachel didn't contest it. She couldn't, especially after my attorney served notice to her boyfriend, Andrew. He'll never find out, she said. But he found out. In his response, he ghosted her, deleted his socials, changed his number. Poof. Magic trick. Rachel tried to track him down, even messaged me asking if I had seen him. I just want him to be in the baby's life. I didn't respond, but I laughed like I hadn't in months. Her parents? Different story. Her father, old school to the bone, called me 2 weeks after the confrontation and invited me to lunch. Just the two of us. We sat at a cheap diner. He didn't touch his food. I'm sorry, he said finally. We raised her better than that. Or at least we thought we did. I didn't gloat, didn't smirk, just nodded. That was enough. Her mom sent a card after the hearing. You deserve better. We're ashamed of what she did. Wishing you peace. I put it in a drawer and never looked at it again. As for me, I started therapy every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Turns out betrayal hits differently when it's not just about cheating, but about fabricating an entire life that you were never part of. My therapist, Nancy, with her brutal honesty and soft eyes, told me something I'll never forget. Alex, you may never be a biological father, but you just prove you know how to protect, how to stand up, and how to let go. That's a different kind of strength, a rarer kind. I cried that day, and for once, it wasn't from shame. I got a new job, moved into a new apartment, started hiking again, joined a weekend book club. Small steps, real steps. I started to find myself again, the version of Alex who didn't live in denial, who didn't hold on to someone who never truly held him back. Sometimes people ask if I'd ever want kids, and I tell them the truth. I can't be a father, but I can be a man who won't destroy himself trying to be one for someone who never deserved it. So thank you, Rachel. Not for the lies, not for the betrayal, but for the lesson you taught me. You showed me exactly who I don't want to be, and that's a gift I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. A few months after the dust had settled, after the court dates, after the signatures on the divorce papers, After I finally stopped staring at myself in the mirror, wondering if I somehow deserved it all, I found myself writing a letter. I never planned to send it. Still haven't, but I wrote it anyway. Rachel, by now the silence between us is deafening enough to fill an entire house. And I think we both know that's how it should stay. But there are things I never got to say. Not because I was afraid. Not because I didn't have the chance. But because I chose not to. Until now. You broke me. Not just as a husband, but as a man. You took the most vulnerable part of me. The part that wondered if I was enough, if I was whole, and wrapped it in lies, dressed it up in hope, and then set it on fire. And I still would have forgiven you. I would have tried if you had told me the truth. Because love, real love, survives hardship. It survives diagnosis. It survives infertility. But it does not survive betrayal. It doesn't survive manipulation or watching you plan your future with another man while still wearing my ring. You didn't just lie. You performed. And I applauded like a fool. But here's the thing. I'm not bitter anymore. I'm better, stronger, lighter, quieter in the head, but louder in the soul. You made me believe I had no value because I couldn't give you a child. But now I see the truth. You were never looking for a father. You were looking for someone easy to fool. And that's not who I am anymore. So no, I don't wish you well. But I also don't wish you harm. I wish you awareness. I hope that one day, when the noise of your own justifications dies down, you finally hear what you did. And maybe, just maybe, you'll understand what you lost. I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer. No envelope, no stamp, just closure. Sometimes we don't get revenge.